3, 2, 1.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Crossing the Streams. I am your host, Eric Nerdtronic, here for Passionfruit. There's my dog. I am joined by another fantastic panel of guests today. I am so excited to have them here. I'm going to jump right into it because we have a lot to talk over. It is Doctor Who. We just went through the 4 specials introducing our new Doctor, Ncuti Gatwa, and we're excited. I mean, honestly, I think the people here can speak to that for the next hour and a half. I think we'll be here, but let's get to them. My co-host today is the great PLD Paul Denuzzo, who was one of the head writers for the Schmodown in the last few seasons that we had. I'm so happy to have him here. Paul, thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I mean, it's a great panel of people, and I'm excited to get to talk Doctor Who with all of them.
And up top, we have my old buddies, also from the Schmodown, late to the party.
Woo!
Hello there.
So happy to be here. So happy when you said you were doing this. Just excited to be with everybody who got to go through the journey with us and put in the work the same way they did as they did. Fellow reactors. Like, I'm just happy to see all these faces.
Thank you guys so much for being here. And then next up is my good old friend, Sesskasays. Thank you so much for being here.
Hello. Thank you for having me. I'm very, very excited.
And then next that is Previewed, Adam and Jay. Thank you guys for showing up.
Hi, hello.
Hi. Thanks for having us.
We really appreciate it.
And then next is my good old buddy, Fail Whale 34, all over in Canada.
What a dooski, everyone. Glad to be here talking some Who with some fellow Whovians, and pleasure to be here with Nerd Chronic hosting. Thanks, Eric.
Thanks, man. And on the other end is Omnimedia. Thank you for joining us, man.
Anytime, man. 2 for 2 on these.
Yeah, coming back.
Yeah. We're really excited to talk about this one because these specials were pretty wild, man.
Yeah, of course. And I had to get one British person in here. So we have Liam Catterson. Liam, thank you so much for joining us.
It's an honor to be here. Hello there, everyone. And yeah, I'm excited to talk about what is one of the greatest shows on this planet. So yeah, thank you for inviting me, and I'm glad to be here.
Thank you so much. Yeah, like I said, I'm glad to have everyone here. We're going to go over the last 4 specials for the 60th anniversary and the Christmas special that we had, and just kind of give our thoughts on coming back into the Doctor Who universe now that we also have a lot to look forward to this year and so on, because like this show is really ramping back up. We're in a new era, new break, new Doctor, new series, season, technically that's what they're calling it now. So I want to get everyone's thoughts on what's kind of going on with the show as it was leading into it, but also your experience with it from your channel and so on, because I know people have different experiences getting into the show via your channel and whatnot. So I want to talk to I guess we'll start with my buddy, my co-host here, PLD. PLD, what is your history with Doctor Who and just getting into it for yourself and with the channel, your podcast now, The Big Blue Box?
Well, I have a long road that led me to where I am. When I was a kid, I'm probably the oldest guy here by far. I'm almost ancient at this point. But I grew up with my cousin who loved classic Doctor Who, the Tom Baker, Peter Davison era. He even brought me to a Doctor Who convention, which was not like anything more than like my local library. And I think, if I remember correctly, we watched an episode up on the big screen. I think that was like the extent of the convention part of it. But I always kind of floated back and forth with it for a long time, but I never really fully got back into it until New Who, as it were. And then like the 50th anniversary came in. That's when I like full on balloon went and like talked to him, talked to my friends, and became a full on Whovian. As far as the channel goes, I always have been kind of threatening to do something. I'm not like you guys, by the way. I bless you guys for doing the whole reaction stuff. I can't do that stuff. I've done like a few trailer reactions. That's not my thing. Give me a conversational piece. That's what I do. But myself and PJ Campbell on PLD Projects, we also the other head writer of the Schmodown, we are always starting to talk about Doctor Who. We had a podcast called Two Mediocre White Dudes on Film, which you go through various franchises and things of that nature. In the first like 20 minutes, we'd always talk about whatever was on our mind. It was always Doctor Who. Like it became a running joke. So eventually, finally, you know what? With this new Who coming in, it came at the perfect time. Let's just screw it. Let's just do an actual podcast on it. And quite frankly, it's been, I got to say, it's my favorite show of all time, I think I want to say, because it's such a comfort show. I can put it on forever, and it's like a nice, like warm, fuzzy blanket, any era, any doctor. I will say my favorite is Peter Capaldi, and that was a long time coming. It was the second time through when Peter Capaldi released that, said to me, "I am your doctor." But it's been a great time throughout. I just recently, like I said, like Eric just said, we finally started our new podcast, The Big Blue Box, and we'll be going through with all the after show type activities and maybe some fun ones. We got like a preview. We're going to do the ranking of the Christmas or holiday specials. I haven't quite figured that out yet in January, but it's been a lot of fun. So I appreciate the time.
Okay, of course, man. I'm looking forward to it. And Robert, Vanessa, late to the party. Yes, I think I got into reactions heavily through your Doctor Who reactions, like to begin with. So, like, what is your history with the show there?
So we started watching the show like before doing reactions and everything. And it was in the middle of Matt Smith's era, but we started with Christopher Eccleston because we wanted to start from there and then go on from there. But it wasn't until we started watching people's reactions to the 50th anniversary when everybody was doing all of those that we were like super hyped. And we were like, you know what? I think we could do reactions to Doctor Who, even though we didn't start until like second season of Capaldi.
We didn't do any reactions
We're
to
late
Doctor
to the
Who.
party.
And we didn't know, like we just did trailer reactions. Like that's pretty much all we did. But there was this world of TV and movies, apparently movies, to uncover. But everybody that was putting in like this work, that's what I said at the top. Like there's just the reactions to Doctor Who of us watching them was a catalyst for us to be the channel that we ended up becoming, was because we loved watching everybody, hung on everyone's word. Torchwood Boy was one of the veterans, the OGs that still
we would watch him
from
all the
then
time,
on.
From then,
So, you know, there was a fire that came to us, but we didn't even do it until halfway through Capaldi, which is a shame, man, because we were losing our minds.
We loved
minds with New Who.
Doctor Who. Like we would get all of the sonic screwdrivers, and I wanted to cosplay all of the doctors. And then eventually we went back to old Who, and we started watching some of them too. And funny enough, like during that time, we Paul McGann and Colin Baker decided to come to a convention here in Phoenix. And we were like, we have to go.
Our first convention, which is kind of funny, but yeah, it was because
really
of them,
great.
we wanted to go because of them.
Yeah,
and Michael Bean.
And the awesome thing is that Colin Baker got to like record a little like voice memo for me for my like ringtone if I wanted to do a ringtone, and it was like the way he when he regenerated, like when he became the Doctor and like his first lines. So that was cool.
Change, my dear, from what it seems at a moment too soon. But she wanted him to what
was a text message.
Well, you were gonna have you weren't even gonna have him record one. She just went up and was like, "This is what my ringtone is." He's
I
like,
had that as my
"Would you like a
ringtone.
fresh one?" And she's like,
yeah, he was so nice about it.
We didn't know how to hit record.
I was so nervous.
He
I
had
was
to
like,
do
I
it.
don't know what to do.
Yeah, he's like, "No, it's here," and he went and hit record. The Doctor, man,
I was like,
making it work. But yeah,
great.
it was just, and then it just went from there.
Yeah,
Severant. It was a fire.
It's funny that you said that, because you're like, oh yeah, we started with Peter Capaldi, and I was like, oh, it was pretty late in the game, but then I remember how long ago Peter Capaldi actually was. It doesn't feel like it's been 10 years since Matt Smith. It doesn't.
No.
It's true.
Yeah. And Seska, so similarly, I watched all your reactions because you started from the beginning for your channel with the show, and then you got through it. Now you're finally caught up. You're finally here with us all, sharing the show with us on equal level. So yeah, what has that experience been for you?
I'm caught up with New Who.
Yes, New Who. Yes, and you're also doing.
I'm not caught up with Classic Who.
Yeah,
that's still every Friday. Oh my word! I started reacting to Doctor Who just because that's what was requested very early on in my channel. And I've never been so embraced by a fandom in such a massive way than I was. So much so that I, as I was going through, I did Doctor Who Decembers, which was a Doctor Who video every single day in December. I don't do that every year because eventually you run out of ideas. So they get mad at me every year when December 1st comes and there's not a Doctor Who December starting. But I mean, I don't want to run it into the ground. So, I feel like maybe, in a couple years I'll do another one. But I went back and I reacted to Torchwood, Sarah Jane Adventures, Class. And I went all the way back to the beginning for Classic Who. And I know a lot of people don't love the black and white era, but the first Doctor and his companions are some of my absolute favorites and favorite stories, and his arc I really loved. So, and I'm currently on the 4th Doctor. So every Friday.
You're putting in the work, girl. I see
Yeah.
Clockwork, man. She's cranking out them Classic Who episode reactions.
It's a lot.
Every week.
Right. And Adam and Jay, what has your experience been with the show and then getting it on for your channel?
Well,
He is David Tennant.
I have a picture of him from New York Comic Con a foot away from me. Yeah. So I started watching the show. An old roommate of mine, I was like, "Hey, you might like this show." I was like, "I don't know, BBC. I've never watched anything on the BBC." I was like, "Yeah, but it's online now. You can watch it." So I started watching it right towards the end of Tennant's run, but I was able to start with Eccleston because it was on Netflix. It was on streaming network. I was able to watch all of it and get current up to and then I think it was right around when Matt Smith, or maybe the second season Matt Smith started, I was actually watching it live. Okay. So I was like, "Oh, this is great." And then eventually met Jay, and then we started a channel, and then we didn't think we would ever do TV stuff. And then eventually we started doing TV stuff during the pandemic. And then when the strike happened, and we were like, "Oh no, we can't do any of those things anymore. Oh, maybe we could Doctor Who, because that's BBC."
No.
Yeah. Nope. Nope, we can't do that either. So, but when the strike ended, and right before the specials started coming out, I was like, "Hey, you know what? We both are big Whovians, and it's only 3 episodes over a couple of weeks. We could easily do that."
Yeah.
So
because we're both big Who people, but we've just never done it.
Nope.
It just didn't necessarily. I don't know what. It just never came up. We're both really into it. I mean, I basically slam-a-jammed Eccleston and Tennant in I think a week. I just got it in me so fast. This was I started live with Smith, but I've kept up with it because it's the one nerdy thing my wife likes. The one thing Kimberly likes Doctor Who, everything else. But I'm like, but Marvel. And she's like, nah. I'm like, oh, okay. So it's the one thing I can talk to her about that's nerdy. So you take the wins where you can get them.
Yep.
The British Bake Off is pretty nerdy, though. That's cooking nerdy, though.
Yeah. And Fail Whale 34. Yeah, thank you, man, so much for joining on. I talked to you about this before, actually. Last time I talked to you when you were here in LA for the podcast I was doing. You were still in the middle of it, and you were catching up with the show the same way as Seska was. And again, now it's a special thing to have you here, caught up with the fandom and everything. How has it been for you on that journey?
It's been epic, man. I think I started Who back in 20. I don't even remember now. It's so long, 2017, maybe 18.
Mm-hmm.
So going through it for the past couple of years, and being caught up now, I think for the past 2 with Jodie, the end of Jodie's era, and the beginning of the specials now and the end of them. It's been such a fun journey. I think, like Seska was saying, just having your fandom, these fandoms sort of put you on, and then just showing you so much love and attention, and just that gets you even more excited. And then when you actually start falling in love with the actual storylines of the Doctors themselves, it just takes you on a whole journey. And doing that from the very beginning, from the first episode with Eccleston to going back to the 1996 movie, and occasional classics, it's just been such a ride, and I absolutely loved it. Also, Capaldi is my favorite Doctor as well.
Did you do a reaction to the movie?
To the 96 movie? Yeah, I did.
Yeah, sweet. I want to check it out. I like that movie. It's just a good time.
It's so much fun.
Yeah.
So great.
And Omni, you're you're kind of becoming one of the usuals here for watching so many different things. What has your experience been with the show, with and without the channel?
Well, without, because I was watching it on my own before I started to do it on the channel. We talked about the other shows that I've kind of jumped onto that I was already watching. Once I finally kind of got comfortable doing things that weren't just trailers, that wasn't just discussion pieces or reviews and stuff like that. Once I finally took the jump to doing episode reactions, I was like, okay, if I'm going to be able to balance my time, I might as well be covering or give my thoughts on the things I'm already watching. So I was already current to that, and I got on into series 12 was when I jumped on to doing reactions. So midway through Jody's run, but I had started myself. God, I don't even remember when. I think, like Jay said, it was my jumping on when I became current was when Matt Smith took over, and I started in college because I was like, God, I keep hearing about this Doctor Who thing everybody's talking about. What's this about? And then there was this girl I was interested in. It was like the Doctor Who. So I was like, I guess I'll finally give this thing a chance. And it took me 2 tries because I didn't gel with it the first time. Don't know what it was. The first couple episodes of Eccleston's run. But I didn't get to episode 4 or 6, but those episodes, once I got there again on the second watch, I was like, oh crap, let's go.
Yeah.
Because those were the ones that hooked me. Like the first, like when you're coming from like American television and stuff like that, and then you just go into Doctor Who and those first couple of episodes, it was like whiplash with what I was watching. And then once you kind of like let yourself be open to the zaniness of it all, and then you hit those heavy hitting episodes like that, I just feel like it will never let you go again.
Yeah.
But
2 times for me too, man. Exactly the same way.
Yeah. But I'm just there. I've got all my Sonics. I've got a Matt Smith cosplay. I think the first thing I actually reacted to on the channel though, before actually doing the episode reactions, was when Honest Trailers, bless their hearts, went through everything. And I reacted to their Honest Trailers for Classic and the Revival series. I have seen the Classic Who, everything that was on BritBox. I've watched everything of that and the movies, and we're good to go.
Liam, again, like you were saying, this is like one of your favorite shows, if not the favorite show of all time. How has it been for you with and without the channel?
So when I first, I guess, acknowledged Doctor Who, it's a bit of an obscure one because me and my family one year went to Blackpool, and this was, I think it was around 2004, but they had this like Doctor Who exhibition. So by this time they were, I guess, filming the first series of Doctor Who, of the revival. But I remember low-key being a bit terrified because they had this like big banner for the exhibition, and there was the classic Cybermen, and I was like, holy dang, as well as the police box. So that kind of stuck with me when they promoted the new series of Doctor Who. And I'm like, oh, I remember this from Blackpool, so I wanted to give it a watch because that image kind of got ingrained with me. So I watched it when it first started up way back in 2005, way before, I guess, reactions were even a thing, really. But I didn't get started on reacting to Doctor Who until Peter Capaldi's first season, way back in 2014. So, but I really got into the idea of wanting to react to Doctor Who because I was watching a few reactions for Day of the Doctor, for Time of the Doctor, especially because my favorite, Matt Smith, the 11th Doctor, regenerated, and yeah, I saw a couple of reactions, especially from the Chic Geeks, who kind of gave me the well, in my mind, I got that idea of, you know what, I want to do reactions when Doctor Who comes back in August. And so lo and behold, it was primarily going to just be Doctor Who reactions that I was going to react to, because I'm like, well, this is a new thing for me, so I'm going to just react to Doctor Who reactions. And that aged well because it manifested into so many other shows. But yeah, a lot of people like there was a lot of like people that came into the into my first reaction and quite enjoyed, I guess, the ride, and I just wanted to keep going onwards and onwards because at this point Doctor Who had already manifested itself to becoming my favorite show of all time, and it still is to this day, because I just have such a deep love to it. So one of my favorite experiences actually was standing in front of an actual life-size TARDIS, because me and my fiance, we went to the Doctor Who World of Wonders in Liverpool. So they had actual props of Daleks, of the Cybermen, of most of the monsters you'd probably see on New Who. And I just saw the life-size TARDIS, and I'm like, I got it. I got to stand in front of it and just yeah. And it just fueled me with so much passion, because it was like I did it. So that's my experience really with Doctor Who. So yeah.
That's great. I mean, that's awesome, man. And a great shout out to Chic Geeks. I think they were also great precursors, I think, to this whole space of what Doctor Who reactions could be.
Pioneers, man.
So yeah, I appreciate their work very much. And so yeah, I'm glad to hear everyone's history with it. Obviously, it's super important to know why we're here today. I want to get into the big stuff, which is the specials that we just had this month, and going forward with the show. Paul, PLD, do you want to tee us up for that one?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about the 6th anniversary and the Christmas special. And of course, we have a new Doctor. I think this is it's kind of, we broke the mold here in this one, in that we usually have the regeneration episodes where we get the Doctor regenerates, the new Doctor comes in for about a minute and a half, we get to see something, and then all of a sudden we have to wait another year or so before we actually get to anticipate and go, what's this Doctor going to be like? Am I going to like this Doctor? No, I'm probably going to hate this Doctor for the first couple of episodes because he's not the previous Doctor. This was different. We go with the bi-generation. We get Ncuti getting to get an actual big portion of his the first 15, 20 minutes of introduction. He plays into the ending, of course. Not only that, but he really has to play up against the guy who is pretty much, if I think it's basis to say, he's like the Tom Baker of New Who. If people think of Doctor Who, they think of Tom Baker in the classic era. Most likely think of David Tennant in the new era. So what an introduction he had. My personal thoughts is he knocked it out of the park. He really stood up to David Tennant and really kind of didn't take a backseat to anyone. He really kind of took over the part and was ready to go. But of course, that was only one of the 4 specials. I'd like to hear what everybody's favorite of the specials were, and your thoughts on shooting introduction and moving forward. I'll start, Robert and Vanessa, with you. What were your thoughts on Ncuti's introduction? And go from there.
I just love that we got him for a good portion with Tennant on the screen. I love seeing certain actors play against each other. And not only that, but you had Neil Patrick Harris there off in the background. Dr. Horrible was in this scene with these two iconic doctors, even though Ncuti, man, it's, he's just starting out, but you can already say he's going to be iconic just in how he's approaching the character.
Yeah, I think he really commanded his presence when he was when he came on screen and everything, because you said, David Tennant, because David Tennant is my favorite Doctor. Granted, this is not the 10th Doctor, this is the 14th Doctor, but he's still I just love him so much. And so when Ncuti came on screen and just I gravitated towards him completely. I was like, oh my God, the way that he carries himself as he's playing the Doctor, I was really invested, interested, and I'm so excited to see what we have in store for him.
That's great. That's great. What was your favorite of the episode of the specials?
Had to have been special 3 for me.
Yeah, 3 was good. I like 2 a lot though too, because I do like that horror sci-fi element of Doctor Who as well. So I really enjoyed the second one, and they really David Tennant and Catherine really got to play on each other in that episode, because they were the only people there. So that one was great.
I also love Beep the Meat though. So the answer is all
hail the
three.
Most High, baby.
The answer is all of them. That's our favorite.
All right, and just finally at the end with the new Christmas special, we had Ncuti's introduction. Obviously, at this point, that was his first standalone episode. Do you think it matched up with the other previous Doctors' first full adventures, as it were? And are we excited about Ncuti going forward?
I really like the Christmas special. I like the fantasy aspect to it because we've never seen that really come through Doctor Who. But it feels like they're really gonna like push on that, which I enjoy. But yeah, it was a fun Christmas special, and that's what you want with these Christmas specials, is just have, you know, a fun little adventure.
Yeah. I mean, there's better Christmas specials, but in my opinion, I wanted to knock it out of the park in the first episode, but it was more like, you know, we're gonna have a fun Christmas episode. It's like, okay, that's fine. Like, there's a place for it, but I need knock it out of the park, and I was hoping they'd do it out of the gate. But no, it's fine. If you want to save it, I get it. If you want to save it, make me work for it, I completely understand that. But otherwise, Ncuti was fabulous in it.
I like Ruby Sunday.
I forgot her name. That's the problem. I think it's the connecting with the character.
I think
I'm not connected with her yet.
Yeah, I think with her
Fair.
character though, she 100% reminds me of Clara, and Clara is my favorite companion.
Clara's my girl.
So she gives me that vibe.
I get it.
So
Though.
that's
She does.
Yeah.
Because I didn't really like Clara's first episode that she came in. That wasn't the
Christmas
souffle
special.
girl.
Yeah, I
It,
gotcha.
was it a
Right.
Christmas special?
Yeah,
That she came in the first one?
No, she was
Not the
souffle.
Victorian one either. It was the other one with the internet, wasn't it? Something.
Oh,
That was her for like, yeah, her full time.
Not a variant of her.
The official
real
Clara.
Clara.
Yeah.
Real Clara. That's
Yeah.
a big one. Fair enough. Fair enough. Jess, I would actually talk to you about, because you've mentioned the Classic Who and you're going through Classic Who. So where does this kind of rank up? You're going through the first Doctor and you're saying how much you love the first Doctor's arcs.
Mhm.
Now we have the 14th and now the new Doctor's arc, and we're trying to launch this new special in a way, kind of launch the series as almost like a new Who. I'm interested to see the comparisons with you're watching the classic era versus your experiences with the new Doctor and Ncuti.
I think honestly, there are a lot of similarities. The best thing about Doctor Who, I feel like, is you never know what you're going to get between every single episode. You're going to get, for the Christmas special, in my opinion, I loved the fact that it was kind of just fun and silly, and that's what I want for a Christmas special. I'm not trying to deep dive into my emotions, be crying on the couch and, for Christmas, you know what I mean? Which they've done. Many times in their Christmas specials. So I actually loved it. I love his presence as the Doctor. And I guess there's obvious differences between like Classic Who and New Who with just how they tell the story and how the episodes are set up. And maybe some questionable special effects every so often, it's all part of the charm, in all honesty. And I love that they have these stories like that don't take itself too seriously, because the episodes that do take it seriously hits a lot harder because of that. My favorite of the specials was the second special, because it was just weird and I loved every second of it. It was terrifying. There was some of the effects with the body horror was amazing throughout that entire episode. And I feel like both David and Catherine knocked it out of the park acting wise for that episode as well. So that was my favorite. I don't know.
Two for Wild Blue Yonder. I'm actually the third as the horror guy myself. I love the horror aspects of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
So give me a horror themed episode anytime. One more question I'll ask for you is David Tennant comes back, and despite Disney Plus, his subtitle is saying it's the 10th Doctor again. How do you like the difference between the 10th Doctor and the 14th Doctor as far as that went? Was he the same to you? Was he too different? What did you think about his revival?
I think in my mind I treated him as different, but not, obviously very similar mannerisms, very similar, portrayal and how he speaks and everything like that. However, I was more focused on just the arc of what was going on with the 14th Doctor. Why did he have this face again? What did he need to accomplish? And I actually really liked my favorite, I feel like, moment of the third special was when the 15th Doctor kind of said it's okay to the 14th Doctor. And it's almost like as just somebody who struggled with anxiety and mental health issues, sometimes you need yourself to kind of go to your past self and be like, it's going to be okay, you know? And I loved that representation in there. So.
A little bit of self-love, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. Well, Jay and Adam, good to see you guys as well. I love watching your Star Wars stuff as well, by the way, as Star Wars people. But so your thoughts on David and Catherine Tate getting to play together again afterward, the joy that was there. Did it live up to your expectations? Did you like the first era of David and Catherine together? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, Jay, he got to go home, and I think, and it speak what we were just talking about. I think it was really important when he says, "I'm okay because you are eventually okay, and we're just doing therapy out of order." And I was like, that. I feel like the regeneration turned back into David. It was almost a meta commentary on this is what everyone thinks about who. Great. Well, this who needs to chill. So he's going to go chill, and then we're going to go have some fun again. And I just feel like for me, I just feel like with the Christmas special, it was just a lot of fun. And he gets to like the doctor that we know gets to have a quote unquote happy ending with Donna. And I just really, it just hit me right in the feels, but most things hit me right in the feels. So
You got big feels, bud.
I got big feels, man.
All the feels.
It was weird from a meta commentary. The show went international during the 10th Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And so having the show go from like, okay, now it's like BBC's putting it everywhere. Like a lot of people are watching it online. Like, hey, this show is taking off. And then now having Disney Plus pick it up and start funding it, because I was like, okay, so like now the show's like, we're really going in it. Like it's going to be really super international now. Because like now we have one of the major Western studio or American studio like helping them out or like helping to pay for it and putting it on their streaming service. So like, what's the face that everyone thinks of? For the most part, it's Tenet. So let's bring let's get the energy back into the show. RTT's coming back. Let's get Tenet back. Like, hey everybody, remember the show? Remember the show y'all fell in love with? It's back, but it's in Pog. No, Pog. Whatever. It's in But they, there's a reason why RTD was back to like inject the show back with like a kinetic energy, and then Tenet's the perfect Doctor to come back for both a meta commentary for the show as it is, the Doctor for New Who as it is, of like, hey, the Time War was hell. You've gone through a lot in the past couple millennia. You need a chance to chill out, and the best way of doing that is being with Donna.
Yeah.
And it gives everybody back like one of the best pairings of New Who. Right. And allows, because I saw 14 and Ncuti kind of being like completely different just from like the beginning, because as soon as the 15th Doctor pops out, he's just like cool, calm, collected. And while 14 still like kind of got that nervous energy of like, no, the world's at stake and we need to figure this out. And I was like, oh, they're at two completely different points in their lives.
Yeah.
Oh, this is great. This is great.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. By the way, I'm throwing different questions out to different people. So if anybody has a desire to answer a question I'm asking, I didn't ask you, please jump in. Just want to throw that out there. I want to jump though. Michael Farewell, I as a fellow Capaldi junkie, it kind of actually is follow up to the question we just asked with the preview guys.
Sure.
So Peter Capaldi was my favorite as well, and I feel like I had loved the fact that he was this very tired old man, still had that energy to be the Doctor, but there were times where you could feel the weight on his shoulders, and that kind of likewise went into David Tennant and Jodie to a degree. But I wasn't a big fan of Jodie's writing, so it didn't quite come off as well as I'd like it to personally. But I did like how the tiredness of Peter Capaldi and the 14th Doctor rather. Compared to, like they said, Ncuti has this great boundless joy energy, and it jumped right into the Christmas special or the Christmas special that way, where he's dancing in the club. He feels like a brand new, fresh Doctor. Now, again, we love Capaldi. Are we good with this starting off point being like the fresh, new, no cares in the world almost aspect, or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, as a Capaldi stan, I think Ncuti, I'm not very familiar with a lot of his performances, I think outside of Barbie, and I've heard he's great in Sex Education.
Hi, Barbie.
Hi,
Hi, Barbie.
Hey, Barbie. But I think where I think he shines off immediately for me is his delivery and range, and I think he gives little sneak peeks in it. And the same reason why Capaldi's one of my favorites. Obviously, it's a little too early to say, but he has such range as an actor. Whether it's him going into his Time Lord bag, whether it's his being more of the elderly doctor, whether it's his love for Clara not being the younger Matt Smith, his range I think is what brought me to really appreciate him, coupled with the story and whatnot. So, and going on to Ncuti, I thought in that Christmas special, even though he was dancing in the to that I actually listened to the song because I liked it so much, that sort of drum and bass song, or it's him coming charismatically pulling up to Ruby Sunday, the fixation on his eyes, his attention, whether it's the children being disappeared from the fridge and his just that you can see that pain, that Time Lord in him, that carer, that protector of Earth, of citizens of Earth, the children. So while we've only seen one proper episode with him, I think we've seen glimpses into what Ncuti going to bring to the role. So I'm excited.
Good balance. A good balance.
Exactly. That playfulness, that seriousness, the gravitas that's needed.
And he should sing in every episode.
Yes.
Every episode needs a song. Let's just go for it.
It's funny you guys mentioned that song thing, because it really feels like that was a stopping point for some people. Like, it was too camp. I'm like, obviously, you probably haven't watched Doctor Who before, because that's what happens. But you get into that level, you like once you're in, like we are, you have that balance, like Jess was saying, also of the camp versus the serious moments that hit even harder. You really come to love those campy moments even more, because you're going to get hurt more later on as well.
Yeah,
it's a precursor. The more jingles and the more songs, the more companions and friends are gonna die. It just happens.
Bigger the knife.
Yeah, they're like, look at this shiny thing over here. Don't worry about this knife coming from over here. Like that's
a distraction.
It is a slow knife you don't see coming.
That's right. Speaking of music, you mentioned the music was a big thing. The Murray Gold returning is a huge deal for me. I'm sure likewise as well. It's just right from the get-go. The 15th Doctor's theme, I was like, I'm humming it already. I'm ready to go. I want to march to this wall and see what's going on. Are you excited about Murray Gold coming back? Dumb question, I guess, huh?
Very excited. I don't even think I realized he was back until I heard the tracks. I'm like, this sounds a little too familiar. No disrespect to the previous seasons or anything, but I'm like, this is hitting too hard, It's not just the holiday theme.
Right.
And the fact that we got I Am the Doctor like overlaid with David Tennant and Donna, like 10, 14 and Donna. Like that hadn't really happened
and
other
it
than in Day of
overlays
the Doctor.
into Ncudi's theme too, so you can kind of see it, but then it also has his own flair to it, which I immediately love.
Yeah, it's great.
Murray's back. Great. Motifs are great, and they are a good part of it. So, Liam, you're our token Brit here. As it were.
Yeah.
So I'm actually really curious from a Brit's perspective how your run with New Who has been to this reset from where we are. Like, are you happy with the reset, or because I know some Whovians are kind of like, well, we've been here forever. We should be treating us like the people instead of trying to hook on new people. What are your thoughts on like getting a new audience members or treating the old members like they've been there for a while? If you know what I mean.
I mean, it's always great to branch out, really, because it's always a bit sad, like especially with the quality that Doctor Who has. It's not just a show that I fell in love with so much because it's sci-fi and all of that, but there's some great storytelling and great emotions behind it, and branching out to other parts of the world, and now branching out to Disney Plus and it's really, really great, and it's just a sign that Doctor Who is just growing bigger and better, because obviously with Classic Who there came an end point where Doctor Who was effectively dead. So and there was a gap between 89 to as well as if you want to include the 1996 movie, but there was a gap between 89 and 2005, and there was still uncertainty when when the Ninth Doctor series began, because well, we don't know if this is going to be as good as it was in the classics and all of that. And sometimes you just bring a show back from the ashes and it doesn't hit as good. So and it's just a sign, this new era, this new I guess starting point, really. It just shows that this show is not stopping whatsoever. So and it's just really, really great stuff. So yeah, I'm happy with how things are being at the minute in terms of this new era, new Disney era, I guess. More money for Doctor Who. So yeah.
You can tell that a few times, actually, during the Wild Blue Yonder getting those shots that they had. I was like, oh, there's some of that Disney Plus money right there.
Yeah, there it is.
There's some hidden Mickeys in there. You can see it.
There is a shot in the Wild Blue Yonder that I just kept rewinding and watching over and over, and it's when Tennant and Donna are crawling up the wall, and then like the wall just starts moving with them on two different pieces, and it's just like the way the camera moves and then just focuses on this one singular shot with all these practical elements. Like, it was beautifully done to the point where I watched the making of and they show it. It's like, god dang, man, the fact that they actually went that far to give us that much effort in just a moving wall shot.
Yeah,
beautiful.
Yeah.
All I gotta say is, when I was watching that, I don't know how many of you have watched Spaceballs, but I kind of saw the ship transforming. I expected it was going to become a Mickey Mouse, big Mickey Mouse ship at the end. Like, oh, just me though. I don't know.
Mickey Mega Maid.
Mickey Mega Maid. Exactly. Now how about Michael from Omnimedia there? How about, what are your thoughts on David Tennant is sticking around in a way? Is he around for more? That's kind of one of the controversial endings of the specials. We have a regeneration, but we have technically two doctors out there with both having their own TARDIS here. Did you like that aspect of it? Are you okay with that? Do you want to see them more with David Tennant, or should we not go with David Tennant? What are your thoughts?
I liked it a lot in the idea of it, the intent behind it. Like Jay and Adam said, this is kind of taking everything that the Doctor has been through and not really had time to reflect or heal from it. Everything we've been doing both gives us that fresh jumping on point with this new series by exercising all of that pain, all of that baggage, all of that, and just sets it aside and lets it heal, gives it that ending for everybody that has been there for a long time. And we just have this new Doctor, while has those memories, has those experiences, is not held back by those. Because like you said, they said, they're doing this therapy out of order. Right. So like he's already gotten over that because 14 will eventually get over that.
Right.
And we're setting that aside. And I love that. I love that as an ending, because for a character like the Doctor that's supposed to be this protector of life, of hope, of all these things, this fixer of the universe, and for them to always just be in this constant battle with themselves, while relatable, it's just like, at the end of the day, it's like this guy's been going on for billions of years at this point and hasn't seen that light at the end of their tunnel. And I like that as an ending for that character. The more cynical side of my brain is seeing that as like, okay, we're handing this over to Ncuti, and this is the first time we aren't cutting ties.
You got to back up.
Now you have to trust that, if things get shady, if things get messy, I don't know, like if we have a season that maybe isn't as received as well as they want to, that they don't now use that as a crutch again. That's my only hang up, is like, okay, well, there's the argument that, well, the Doctor, it's time, it's space. He's out there all the time, anytime, and you can play with any Doctor whenever you want, really. But this feels different to me. Yeah. That's the thing. That Doctor branched rather than continued on. So like it just, I want Ncuti to, because I loved his introduction. I like the energy he brings off and on the screen. his excitement for the role, all that, and just for the kind of staple and the kind of footprint that he's going to have coming into this. I just want him to have that attention. You know, I don't want it to be like people thinking about was like, well, when's our next David Tennant special?
Right.
And it's like, well, they've been like, hey, we're not touching Tennant. Like they could say that, but it leaves that in some viewers' minds that are like, well, Tennant Donna, you gave me Tennant Donna back. And
Right.
you just got, I just want them to keep lifting him up like Simba. This is your land now, not
Let him
Tennant.
sing,
You're
let
not
him
sharing it with
sing.
Tennant.
That's a great
That's
point.
the only that's the only thing that kind of like for me was this like in the back of my mind. I'm just like had this little like chirping bird just like screaming, Tennant's still there.
He's still there. He's still around. He's still around.
Well, the complication is, right? Hypothetically, let's say they have, I don't know, the master or some sort of a staple villain comes back, right? Since they're both on the same planet, you know, they're kind of like in the same country. It's I'm pretty sure they're like not very far away from each other when he's
Right.
back, I guess, where he left. What happens when the master comes? Does he just go straight to David Tennant? Does he find out who the latest doctor is? Like, what's the differentiation? Like, how does he know? Or she know?
Because of what season he's in. That's how he knows, I guess.
He'll just know.
Well, you check my notes.
Break, yeah.
Okay.
I
I
compare
do-
notes like River Song.
I mean, I would throw out there one of the best things about the idea of David Tennant is that it actually gives the first time I think I can remember we actually have a happy ending for a doctor. I think that in and of itself will lend to them not wanting to touch him too much because he's kind of got that happy ending. And we know what he's doing. He's rehabbing to get to Ncuti at some point. But it is definitely like cynically and like studio wise, if there's like a BBC thing or Disney Plus, they go, Ncuti's tanking, we got to get David Tennant back. And hopefully it doesn't happen. I wouldn't mind seeing him every once in a while in like a spinoff as we're going to go through potentially. Maybe that they do have that unit spinoff or something like that. He pops in every once in a while potentially, but that's another.
I feel like it would. Sorry, I
ahead.
feel like it would be nice to have maybe a scene where 14 is kind of maybe at the end of where he's almost going to regenerate and him and 15 reunite before like a nice moment after he's kind of done some inner healing and all of that at some point. Like a little cameo. I'm good for that, you know.
I like
there is also a side of me that's like kind of glad that they've left it ambiguous in terms of when 14 is actually going to change into Ncuti. Because it could be when, it could be 100 years from now in the Doctor's lifetime. It could be 200, etc. And that's it. We don't know. I mean, obviously, when it comes to, like, for example, with the 8th Doctor, we didn't even, when 9 showed up, we didn't even know when 8 would regenerate because of the fact he had so many limited, he already had the TV movie as an appearance, but we didn't get the closure of his story, and I think that bummed out a lot of people. Whereas with 14, we've already seen David Tennant regenerate quite a couple of times. So this kind of leaves a bit of an ambiguity in terms of, we don't know when 14 is going to regenerate into 15. And, there's I don't know, there's kind of a catharsis to that because it's all a mystery. We just know that at some point there will be a moment where 15 comes in vibrant and, whilst he still has those memories, of course, he's more relaxed and he's gone through his therapy and he's ready to rock and roll again. So, yeah.
Do you think the curator is before or after this? Or because like that, you'll revisit some classics. So I'm just like, that's immediately one of the places that my brain went, because obviously like the numbering thing anymore is really for us. So while Ncuti is 15 marketably, is he actually 15? Because we had a War Doctor situation. The numbering doesn't even matter at this point.
No.
Really. But like outside of toy sales and all of that. But it's just like that creeped into my brain because that's another example of, taking him on an old face. and they all talked at one point.
I mean, I think ambiguity is actually a positive in Doctor Who. That like leaving it open like that, no doubt being so solid, it allows you that kind of like elasticity to play around with things. I know, for example, I don't know if any of you, PJ, my compatriot, is a huge Big Finish guy. Like he's been trying to get me to listen to Big Finish forever, and I do. I'm just not as good on the audio dramas myself. It's just my own personal thing. I like to be able to view it. But he'll tell you about the curator stories that like that the Sixth Doctor has appeared as a curator. So there's all this open space that Big Finish has really kind of played around it, and we have the opportunity now to play around it, especially as the universe is kind of expanding. We're supposed to get this potential MCU like spin-offs and things like that nature. Who knows if that's what that exactly is going to entail, but there's a lot of open ground there, and I like having the open ground to play with. So for me, don't give me a definitive ending on things. I'd rather have the openness out there. I like that David Tennant's out there somewhere. It makes me feel happy that I know that David Tennant has not regenerated yet in my eyes. He's still somewhere out there if I ever wanted to like peek and go, hey, what's going on? Okay, all right, you're still good. Okay, we're good.
Well, the show, like, it does. I mean, because on Disney Plus, it's like Disney Plus Doctor Who now. But in the UK, doesn't it start with like the Whoniverse or Whoverse?
Yeah, yes,
Isn't there
it does
different-
with that little thingy-mabob at the beginning. Yes, it does. It does for me. So I don't think I could access Doctor Who in the UK on Disney Plus because obviously it's a BBC thing.
Right,
so
right.
I don't know how it is for everyone else. I just know that we have that little, Whoniverse advert at the beginning, and then it rolls into the episode. So
Yeah, we don't get that.
We get ours from a mouse. So
Yeah.
Well, that's because you guys don't have it under one banner. We have it like the regulars are on Max right now. The new Who Classic is on Tubi. We only have the Disney stuff on Disney Plus. I figure maybe if licensing changes eventually, hopefully we'll all get it. I'm just mad we're not getting all of the other Whoniverse content, like the Tales of the TARDIS. We got it on YouTube, so I guess I shouldn't complain too much. But like all this other stuff, I want to have that.
Bring
I
back
watched that-
Torchwood.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
Torchwood, absolutely.
actually, yeah.
I would love to have the Whoniverse myself, to get and go in there and everything's in one spot. That'd be a beautiful thing. But
Right.
Speaking of that, because I know like the idea is to kind of with the new management, from my understanding of the way they're handling it with the iPlayer and the BBC side of things, trying to consolidate everything and just kind of make it this really commit to making all Who available. And while yes, it's a little disjointed where we're at, eventually that's kind of the end goal, is to make it accessible to what it is. Is kind of talking about what you just brought up with like the Big Finish stuff. I've not listened to any of it either. I've like looked into it, I've read about it, because like it's just too easy for me to not focus in on that, or I just can't do it. So like I'll read about it and stuff like that, but then you have something like the Star Beast, which was something that has been told before in a different medium, and they redid it.
Yes.
So how do you all feel about the fact that they had done something like that? Was that something that you bumped into at all, or would you be against them?
It's clever.
Like stepping on the toes of Big Finish or anything like that? Like how this is like where we kind of tapped into a little bit of some muddy waters haven't really done before.
So I have listened to quite a bit of Big Finish. It's why the Eighth Doctor is one of my favorite Doctors, because obviously with his limited appearances on screen, I guess he kind of makes up for it on the audios and all of that. He has a bunch of audios out there. Does Paul McGann. And I know a lot of people are really wanting a spin-off, an Eighth Doctor spin-off series, like a mini series. So those who can't have access or don't have access to Big Finish, because it can be costly, they get something of the Eighth Doctor more to nurture him. And and see, I would be okay in a sense, because I want factors like the Eighth Doctor to be more accessible for people who might not have listened to Big Finish. It's just the idea of where does, I guess, to use this term, where does the canon lie? Because as you mentioned, the Star Beast, they've already done that. They've had Tom Baker record for the Star Beast and all of that. and here we are in 2024, where we've got a televised adaptation of the Star Beast. So it kind of like it is a matter of where does the canon lie. Like, for if you were to do an Eighth Doctor series, does that include his adventures with Lucy? Does that include the Dark Eyes, etc., etc.? So yeah.
Well, they were canonized in the in that TV in that mini episode. Some of the companions were.
Yes.
So
Charlie Harris. Yes.
Correct. Okay. Sorry, yes,
I like the fact that we are getting to do stories in a different medium, because like you said, there's a lot of people that might not have access to Big Finish, or because there are so many stories within the Big Finish era that people might be like, okay, where do I start? Where do I pick up on these stories? And then some people that's just not their thing. They don't like that. And it comes the same thing when people do adaptations for books, for video games, when they make them into movies, when they make them into television shows. It gives them an opportunity for those that TV shows are their thing, so they're going to watch it, and that's how they're going to be exposed to these types of stories. And I would be okay with the specials, like if they were to bring a story that wasn't a Big Finish type thing, or if it was in a comic book or some story that they had way back when that got lost somewhere, and they're going to bring that story back in a new way. Give them that opportunity to do that in a special or like a one-off, and I think that would be good, because then people will have an opportunity to see it in a different medium.
And I do feel like the canon really does only recognize the television medium aspect of things. Like, if you're being serious about what is canonical, it would end up being the TV series, the specials, the movies. And I feel like they do say, yeah, we have audiobooks and all that stuff. But at any point, if they're like, damn, that was some good storytelling, maybe we'll use it. Because like you said, the Star Beast was like a comic, and it was like a comic strip in a magazine. Like, it was these very small mediums that they all put together. But then PLD, you said something about Baker doing it. So did they do a Big Finish of the Star Beast later too? If that's the case, then it's like, well, then they've already repurposed it once before from something that was, already probably canon in the Doctor Who universe. So I do feel like when the chips are on the table, it's like Star Wars. Like, yeah, they're saying all the new books after a certain point, and then everything is considered canon. But if there's something really good that they can use and take or change, because not everyone's talking to each other, then I feel like that's when they're going to be like, well, whoops. Like, this is the main thing.
Or Filoni just decides to straight up retcon it.
As long as they pay respect to the older stories.
Just want to walk down that blue hallway and just open another door and peek on in and see what's up.
At some point in time, all the Doctors are alive.
Kylo when? Never.
Kylo not here.
Yeah, I think I've seen the best take on it I've seen online from someone is just that the TV show, the visual media has like the kind of final say on the canon. Everything else is canon up until the TV show contradicts it. Like, that's how that's how you can view it. Someone wants to view it, is that everything you can, it's what you want, right? It's like, it's the story that you want to believe in. So like, you can just take the stories that exist in the other media and be like, yes, like a Ace and all this other stuff, like all these other companions want to do other things. But once we get to the show, if the show says something, that's kind of like the final say on like what happened to that character.
Well, I mean, RTD has been a long-time fan of Doctor Who as it is, and he's been a big proponent of Big Finish from all the interviews I've heard. But then again, he is the one who said, "Yeah, we're going to take this, beat the meep, and make it our own." So it's kind of like a best of both worlds. It's like, I'll give you all the Big Finish stuff as canon and everything else, except for what I want to use it.
Subjective.
Exactly, but I think you can live in both worlds. I mean, I think at this point, I, as a Star Wars fan myself, I've never had an issue with Star Wars stuff. I always feel like it's different interpretations of the same story. So I was looking at it that way. I've never been one to be like, oh, this contradicts that. Oh, this sucks. No, I just say it's a different viewpoint, a certain point of view, if you were side of things.
Who succeeds when it's a little wibbly wobbly?
Exactly.
I have found when you try to nail down Doctor Who too hard is when it kind of just like, it doesn't. They're like, how does the sonic screwdriver work? It doesn't matter. It's a space magic wand. Just do what you want. You know, like I don't know. Every time I was like, "What's canon?" I'm like, "Does it? This is a show about alternate dimensions. They can all be true, and that's fine."
Well, I mean, they had what 2 in-universe reboots of the universe itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Who's
I mean-
to say what's happening when it's happening too?
Diverged.
Yeah.
And then
Because the universe rebooted when they restarted it with Matt Smith.
Yeah.
And
Then you
Dorma,
have
right.
God knows what happened. Or they still haven't explained it at all with the flux.
and then the Toymaker.
I think they're still figuring it out
What
because
happened?
he's acting like
Toymaker
it didn't
making
destroy
jigsaw.
more than half the galaxy, whatever it was. And so
Yeah,
he
it's like
yells-
half of the stuff you're going to be running around playing with got destroyed. Like, I don't know. Like the flux Thanos the universe, so like I don't know what the hell's going on.
It's
Yeah.
actually
It's
crazier
fine.
now that you mention that. It's like, yeah, you just destroyed half the universe and you sort of are walking it off a little bit. Like, it's like, yeah, it takes some time
Oh, that
actually.
Yeah,
happened.
man.
Yeah, I feel like that's a big part of what the transition from David Tennant to Ncuti was, is that it was kind of like RTD trying to have his cake and eat it too. Like not in necessarily a bad way, but just in the sense of like, obviously he's very connected to the Doctor, specifically to David Tennant as the Doctor, be it 10 or 14. And I think he kind of wanted to have this sort of cathartic nature where he's like, I want to see what would conceptually sort of be like what it would look like if the Doctor got to finally like end, like as like a character, as a story. What would it be like if he actually got to like finish and like we didn't have him going on another adventure? So he tried to have that sort of, yes, like exploration with the character, but obviously the show goes on. He has to kind of continue that with Ncuti. So like I think it's an interesting novelty to have both those characters exist at the same time, where you can see what the Doctor would feel like. We get to experience that sensation, that sort of visual exploration of what he might feel settling down finally. And then we could see the same thing as Ncuti going off and be the Doctor as himself. And so carrying in like stuff with the flux and all this stuff, like really heavy storylines that we had to deal with, it feels like sort of the best way for Russell T Davies to take what has been and reboot it in a way that feels natural to him without having to actually cut off ties and say like, oh, that didn't happen, or like, you know, we fixed it, it went backwards now and everything's fine again. It's a way to like character wise give us a catharsis, so like we can have Ncuti move onward without having to carry the weight of like something super heavy that we can still go back and explore and develop as it needs to be.
So he wants it to be, actually, as the storyteller wants it to be.
Yeah, yeah.
Dude,
Uh,
I'm sorry. Can I just ask this one question?
Sure.
I think I understand narratively why they did it, and I think they nailed it, and I think they landed the plane. I even cried at the end of it. But did it at any point? Did it feel like when we regenerated back into David Tennant? Did it feel a little bit like a cop out?
After Jodie, like immediately that first episode, or
For me personally, I just feel like I understood like when they're talking about like the Doctor has a lot to remedy and a lot to wrestle with. I understood that, like I understood that within Jodie, and I understood that character move, and then I just feel like they kind of robbed her of that. And I feel like they were like, well, everyone knows Tenet, so that's how we're going to transition.
Well, they robbed her of a lot.
yeah.
Like
Let's
thoroughly.
be clear.
I don't think she was given enough to be stolen from. Actually,
I mean,
Yeah.
that's the real honest answer. But for me, because honestly, I had to bow out of the end of that season, because I just was like, I just am not. I've never liked a Doctor quicker than her. She showed up and I was like, I'm on board, and then I just couldn't do it anymore. But when they were like, she regenerated, and I was like, oh my God, what are they doing? It's like, it's David Tennant again. I went, what? Nah. I was like, wait, there, man. Okay, well, this,
Yeah.
I think they nailed it. But for me, I was like, I just feel
Between when the regeneration happened and the first special,
I feel like I'm being manipulated as an audience member.
I understand what you
Oh
mean.
yeah, I mean that's
we
totally.
all were.
Totally.
We were. We definitely were.
I remember when Matt Smith regenerated, or David Tennant regenerated Matt Smith, like pretty quickly, everyone was like, obviously that transition phase where everyone's like, oh, like he's not my Doctor anymore. Like, you know, like there was that joke going around the internet. Everyone's like, can he just regenerate back into like David Tennant? Like, can we just do that and get Russell Davies back? You know, they kind of did that, like, right? Like they kind of did have Russell Davies just come back and bring David Tennant back. I appreciate, like you said, in the aftermath, looking at the whole picture, that we can see that he did it and managed to utilize him in like a very unique way to like bring in Ncuti and stuff like that. But I totally get this sort of like weird sense that it's like placating the audience to like with an easy out to be like, you like Tennant, like right, we'll get him back here. But I do like the execution of what they did with him.
Oh,
There's
absolutely.
a less
I think it's
cynical way
okay.
to look at it.
Yeah.
Just because if you think about like he was okay. Doctor Who's like in a weird spot right now. Like we just need to reset, get the ball rolling, expand, get a fresh jumping on point. It's got a little messy. So for him to come back in, intent wise, it was I'm trying to like again give them the benefit of the doubt here. So like they wanted Tennant originally. Like if they had their way, there would have been no Eccleston. Like at the beginning point. So like I feel like to Davies, Tennant was the doctor that started this whole thing, and he wanted to bring it back to his vision of the doctor, say goodbye to that and give it its ending, and then here's our new stuff.
Well, it just so happened to fit in the
It
60th
just happened to
anniversary.
be at the end of Jodie's run, which is marred with all kinds of opinions you can have in any one way or the other. So like it's very valid to feel exactly like you'd feel. I like Jay, like when you said that, I was like, I think that's wholly valid. Like when you're looking at it from an outsider looking in with all the other information floating around. And I'm just trying to like, maybe if I get into RTD's head, it's a little less.
Yeah. No, now that you
I
said it
don't
like that,
know.
it makes perfect sense. But for me, like, and I loved the episodes, but when they first announced it, I was like, I feel like they're just trying to be like, please give us your money again, please, please.
Right? Yeah.
The only thing I felt robbed from me about that regeneration into David Tennant was that we didn't get to see him in Jodie's outfit.
I know. I was like, why
That
can't he
was a
be in
cop-out.
her
I was
outfit?
like,
No,
where's
Yeah,
the
that
clothes
was
changing?
weird.
Yeah.
The doc's got to go to the wardrobe. Like that's just what we
Yeah.
did. So
The thing
for me,
is-
that whole thing was like, what are you
Yeah.
doing? Just
The thing is,
I
I've
want to see him in the
seen
outfit.
people Photoshop David into Jodie's costume. It works and all
Yeah.
of that. And
Yeah.
it's like
He
we
pulled
were
it off.
robbed.
She's got a coat
Yeah.
too, just like
Yeah,
him.
Jodie's outfit ruled, man. I love
Yeah,
her
love her
whole
outfit.
scene.
Exactly.
So
Yeah,
I don't know why they
it's-
didn't do it. I thought it would have been.
There
Yeah,
is an
you know.
answer out there. There is. I know Davies did put an answer out there.
But
No, I remember because I was like, "Oh yeah, why did he do that?" And he's like, "Someone asked him, and there was in an interview.
Oh,
yeah.
There was an actual reason. I was like, "Here's my thinking about it. It's this. That's why I did it."
I
I
thought
was
you were
like,
setting
"Oh,
up for a bit. I was
I
ready
was
to,
not
because I
setting
left
up
you
for-
hanging early. So I was gonna.
Yeah, I will say I will chime in because Jessica mentioned it earlier. Yeah, Matt Smith is my favorite doctor of the bunch. he's definitely mine.
It took me 2.5 seasons to get into Matt Smith after David Tennant. So
Wow.
So it took till
From the very
Clara?
get-
it took Clara to get to Matt Smith, and then I went back and watched it
Really?
again to give him that full like. But yeah, the whole time I was like, I don't know if I really enjoy this character, like, because I was so invested in David Tennant.
She
So
was
it's
heartbroken.
it's
Yeah.
crazy how that happens. And then when Capaldi came on, I was like, yeah, you know what, I'm on board on that one. And then Jodie came on, I was like, I'm on board with her too. I love her, even though her storylines were kind of sad. But she did the best that she could with those storylines, and then now with Shooties. Oh,
It took me until the Pandorica opens, and then once that, I was like, oh my god.
the speech that he gives
Yeah.
at the beginning. Yeah,
Yeah, and the timey wiminess of jump through time. Like I was like, wow, this is just like this is it. I'm
Yeah.
in.
It's
I
funny
love
how
Matt
different things
Smith
can
now.
happen because I know some people have got like PJ, my friend PJ, Matt Smith. He said his first episode he was on board. It took me a while too. Capaldi being my favorite, I didn't actually get on board with him until probably Flatline when he came out and had that
Mm.
moment.
That's a good yeah.
I'm the man who
I
stops
really
the
struggled with
monsters.
him.
And then
It
but once that
took me-
happened, whew, I was
It took
right
me
on
a
board.
season to like David Tennant.
It's so
Sorry,
interesting.
dude. Sorry, dude. Eccleston was really good.
It's always so interesting to see how like each of us just have like that specific speech, that specific moment, or you just know
Yeah.
right away when that person clicked for me.
Right.
It's always fun to hear how different people resonate with their dog.
yeah, like with David Tennant, New York, when he went there and he was like, "Oh, I'm beating out a samba." I'm like, I love this guy already.
He's always trying to find that shop.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's interesting where we're at now with the show because you know, with all the breaks we're talking about with like the new reboot and stuff and shooting and everything, as an audience we're kind of only in our sort of third era of like the show, where like we had the beginning of it with Eccleston and Tennant. We had sort of like, again, like sort of soft reboot with Matt Smith going up there, then to through Jodie Whittaker and now to Ncuti. And it's just interesting now we're able to sort of consciously digest the idea that the show is changing once again, the same way it did with Matt Smith, where it's like sort of like we're breaking ties for certain things, we're shifting the sort of like production value of it and like the way it's presented. And it's an interesting way where like we as an audience have been able to understand the trappings of what it means to get a new Doctor. We could give them like the grace period. We're like, okay, let's see what they're going to do here. Let's see how they react to this sort of thing. And we're able to sort of like process that more eloquently now. Now with the show, I think we're sort of still catching up with that. And we're now in like a really unique era where as viewers, we're able to be like, okay, we understand the show's doing something very different now. And we're able to sort of like be sort of self-aware of like how we ourselves are viewing it.
I mean, I think we should all feel blessed in a way. We should feel blessed. This is the only show. It's so unique in terms of, it's been going on for 60 years, that we have franchises like Star Wars and Marvel that always have entries going on, but this is like a consistent show. So like, we don't have to worry about the ending. It's kind of like you go with the hills and the valleys. You have moments where you kind of get out for a little bit, but then you come back in even more so at this point. But we always know that something is always changing here and there, and you're either on board, but if you're not on board for a while, just stick around. It'll change eventually again somewhere along the way.
Yeah.
Wait
long enough.
We also have new rules injected into the universe now too, with that whole like
The
superstition being echoed out into the universe.
Right.
The mechanics are
Mythically.
changed in the universe now too.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Toy Masters legions are out there. Like that was a very
Okay.
ominous, like
Yeah, and be
The one who
all hail
waits.
the
The
meat,
one
baby.
who waits.
Yeah.
That's
Man.
right.
And I think PLD, you're saying about like, there's so many Doctors, so long now in the franchise. Eric was saying too. I'm looking forward to seeing in the newer series, whether it's Ncuti or the next Doctor, some of those more overarching stories that made me fall in love with the show, diving into it for the first time, not knowing anything, like the River Song debacle, like the Face of Bo. Those are some of the most goated. And again, I didn't experience it on the week to week as it came out, but going 3 seasons to find out that this dude from season 1 is this dude, or finding out that the storyline of River is backwards, like that mystery, intrigue, the attention to detail, whether it was intentional or not, and they sort of just threw it in. It felt like a great mystery as an audience. So I'd love for them to go back to that ever so slightly.
Well,
Yeah.
this episode has a giant mystery started. Who is Ruby Sunday's parents, or the person who dropped her off?
And did he recognize them? Because he
I have an idea who it might be.
And Mrs. Flood.
Yeah, I have a few.
Never seen a TARDIS before.
Brewing.
Yeah, so I think
Who are you?
I think that gets us into our last segment here, which is the future, which is big part of Doctor Who, obviously, and what we're going to move forward with that. So Jay, I'll start with you, and you guys, what is your theory for moving forward? What do you want to see from the show, and what do you think is on the horizon?
I would like. I am excited. First of all, isn't it fun when you get to the first episode of a new Doctor? It's like starting a fresh Pokemon game. It's like what's gonna happen, but they do it kind of differently, and it feels good. I don't know. It's so fun.
They always pick their starter.
Yeah.
It's a companion.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like I'm excited for. I think they're setting up for a new, like, kind of iconic bad, in a way that look, guys. Hey, who? The Cybermen are done. They're done. They're done.
It's
no
over.
more Cybermen. I'm over it. I'm excited for like a new like this seems like they're building up some kind of like outsiders or some kind of extraplanar idea, which I think could be really fun. I'm just looking forward to just having fun.
I just want it to be fun again.
Yeah,
bouncing around, going through time, meeting older historical people, having a good time, that energetic fun. But also, RTD is very good at like, hey, these companions are special for a reason. And I was like, what's the reason? And Moffat did it as well. And I think there's a reason why that Ruby didn't have any DNA matches of anyone on the planet. So I think RTD's like, what were some of the fun things I did back in the day? We can go back to a few of those things, couldn't we? I think so. We haven't tied those things off yet. People have been asking.
That's true. Yeah.
Hmm.
Do you have a guess? Do you have an idea of like who it might be?
Oh, it's the doctor's daughter. It's Tennant's wife. It's
Yeah,
Tennant's
okay.
actual real life wife.
Georgia Moffat.
Oh,
It's my mind as well.
Yeah, she didn't die. She just goes off into space. And
Yo,
that they never brought that back.
Yeah.
that was one. I was like, okay, you guys just did this like whatever. You left. Like, what now? Yeah, that's a great point. Wow, that'd
And
be
he
a good
didn't
tie-in.
go after her. And there's clearly a connection between Ruby and the doctor. Clearly, something there was just a little.
And the reason why he was talking about the children on the fridge is why he was so resonated with it, because that's his daughter. Oh my god.
Or it'd be his granddaughter, right? So that'd be interesting.
That's
Might be a
the-
way
it's-
bringing
yeah,
it back to
yes,
one with his
bringing it
granddaughter.
back to
Yeah.
the original doctor having adventures with his granddaughter.
Yeah.
Now we're doing it again.
Wow.
New who.
It rhymes like poetry. Yeah.
It rhymes like poetry.
Are you in the writer's room, dude?
Or she's a Cyberman.
Or
and they're
she's a
bringing it
Cyberman.
back.
Oh my god, maybe she's a plant.
We're not done with them yet. More of them.
She's a human Dalek. No one ever saw that come.
I mean, that would
She's an
make her a Gallifrey and Cyberman, and that's where we left them.
Yeah.
So,
Can we
continues
undo
that
that,
story.
please? Can we just have Gallifrey be Gallifrey for a while and like ignore that in the new
They're
version?
Cybermen now.
I'd love to just see it.
Stop
I would yes, I
blowing
would
up.
love to-
Go to Gallifrey.
Jessica, how about you? How about your thoughts moving forward with the show and what you're hoping to see?
I hope that we get a lot of new stuff, but I will say I know that they want to kind of reboot and sort of say that you can jump in without really knowing too much knowledge about the show. I'm never the biggest fan of that. Not that I don't like fresh news stories. That's great. But I think the strength of this show is the history of this show and knowing the history of this show. And I've done a lot of work in knowing the history of this show.
Witness,
So,
witness.
But I do hope that we get something fun and new that feels new, but we still have some references to before. And I don't know that they're actually going to do that, but I would like that because I think that that's something that Doctor Who can do that not a lot of other shows can really do. They don't have that history there. And so that's how I personally feel about that. But yeah.
I agree.
That makes sense.
Also, it's well documented on my channel that my favorite villains are the Cybermen. So I'm feeling really
And they've
upset
done
right
a
now.
wonderful job with
Let
them.
them fight.
They've just
Okay.
They're my favorites as well. I love them. So
I think they're great too.
They're so versatile. They're very
I
versatile.
just think I need a break. I need a break, you know?
Maybe a dollar.
All right.
Yeah.
I just picture like a Dalek talking to a Cyberman at a cafe. I think you should just take it easy.
Just chill a little bit.
Sit this one
Put
out.
your feet up.
Yeah.
Relax.
Robert, Vanessa, yeah, how about you guys? Looking forward to the future of the show.
I cannot.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing who is the one who waits. Maybe it's the Velyard. We'll see. What else there? Maybe I don't know. I'm not really into the whole speculation because I feel like if I speculate one way and I'm like gun ho on that one way, and then they go a different way, I'll be like, all right, let me adjust myself for a second and see how I really feel about this. So I kind of just like not speculate as much as I can. Like I will here and there because it's fun to speculate. You know, we have fun with it, and then if it doesn't go that way, then it's like okay, cool. Then you went a different way. But I'm just gonna ride the TARDIS with this.
We always said, you know, like you know how everybody got disappointed when like Marvel wouldn't do the things or Star Wars wouldn't do the things that they were like predicting in their head. We learned that a long time ago with Doctor Who. Just because we would be like, oh my god, it could be this, it could be. We didn't have no new rock stars breaking things down.
It was mainly
built it up.
when the whole thing with Capaldi, when they're like, okay, why does he have the Capaldi's face? And we had this in our mind that he was the doctor in Pompeii, like that was the doctor, and he was doing the whole
Chameleon
arc again.
Right.
And then
he
they
even
went,
looks at it and they're like, "Oh, I found this," and he's
Yeah,
looking at
and
it and
he-
he walks away. It's
and
Oh,
then
it's so
they went a
perfect.
different way with this. They're like, okay, maybe we shouldn't.
yeah.
'Cause I like my story better, but
So since then, Doctor Who taught us to not
simmer
speculate
down a
so
little
hard.
bit. Yeah.
Put your feet up,
fair.
take
Yeah.
a rest, just like
see
the
what
Daleks.
they want to put out in the universe.
but-
So I'm curious to see who Mrs. Flood is, who like the one who waits the toy makers like legions, and then of course somebody picked up the master's tooth. So it's like, okay, the master will be coming back. Who picked up the tooth? Granted, we think it could be Kate because she was the one with the red
Yeah.
nails, or it could have been somebody else.
See, for me, it's
Because I feel like if it was Kate, why would they hide her from picking up the tooth? Like, why are they?
That's exactly what I
granted-
was thinking.
Yeah, but granted,
pay
it could be like
homage
an
to when they did it
homage to when they
before.
did the ring
Yeah.
for the doctor, or for the master. But still, like, why? So there's mystery there. There's so many mysteries going on right now. So
See,
I'm excited for
and
the
then-
Well,
rest.
the
and
female
all-
who picked her up, I mean, it's got to be the Rainy, right? That's every answer we
Right,
ever got
yeah.
from Doctor Who fandom.
Bro,
It's always gonna be the Rainy is
I've been
the answer.
holding on to
Look.
the Ronnie since freaking Missy,
Look,
Yeah.
look,
and it didn't
yeah.
happen. And it didn't happen. It could have been perfect, and it just didn't
One
happen.
day.
Always the answer. Oh,
One
one
day
day
I
you're
will
right.
have vindication.
Yeah, it's got to be the Ronnie. I mean, where is she, man?
Never
She's right there. You don't bring her back. You just keep doing the master over and over and over and over. Where's the Ronnie?
Mr. Flood. That's what she is. Yeah.
How did they CGI him
Wow.
so many teeth?
Yeah. Oh yeah, the teeth.
Yeah.
Thinking,
Yeah,
like, oh, like,
I
oh, Junior's
know.
like, he's got too many teeth, and I don't know.
He
I
did
don't
have
know
a lot
what
of
AI
teeth.
CGI person
AI
did
made
that.
his mouth.
Yeah.
He made his
Terrifying.
Those are all the people that lost to the game. That's why
Oh,
he has
yeah.
so many teeth.
See, all the stuff that you said, it's not even what I'm most looking forward to.
Oh,
Yeah, it's the music.
no.
I don't think I can
Oh.
stress enough the Murray Gold and what his scores meant to
Yeah.
us, and like the soundtrack of our lives for years.
The music is also a companion.
Yeah, still to this day, man, we pop in, some of the old
I like
favorites.
this.
And oh man, dude, I am just Unit Rocks. When they played Unit Rocks in that third special, like I lost it. I was like, because even in like Epic Special 1, I was like, they gotta play Unit Rocks at some point, and
Yeah.
they did, and it was gorgeous. But yeah, I got it. I want to hear some new stuff, and he
Yeah.
already killed it, dude. With when that new theme, that 15 theme, I love it. We sat through, we listened.
What kind of music is in that jukebox?
Well,
Yeah.
I feel like it's
I
going to be
think-
more contemporary stuff.
Yeah.
I think.
I do think they have confirmed some of the songs, and it's some of the songs that we've heard in RTD's era, like "Toxic" and "End of the
Oh,
World" from
nice.
Britney.
There we go.
So there's some songs that we are familiar with, but there's a few new ones as well. So, but I think they
Yeah.
mentioned that in Doctor Who magazine. So yeah,
He heard that the doctor heard that Spice Girls song. He's like, I need more of that. I'm gonna.
Mhm. Love that part.
not just that though. The Master had a very had a dance sequence. Toy Maker, when is my shot coming? That's what the Doctor thought.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited for the music as well. I know by the time we get to the finale, that's when it's going to kick up. Like that's one of the sort of foundational things you can look forward to in a Doctor Who finale is the great themes that's going to pop up for the big moments and all that stuff. Yeah. Failwell, how about you, man? Are you looking forward to the show moving forward with this new Doctor?
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to Billy Piper's music being featured in the jukebox. No, like I said, I think I'm most looking forward to seeing Ncuti really just go all in on this Doctor. I hope with the return of RTD, Disney's money, Murray Gold, and etc., that they give him the confidence to do what he can do with it, and they give him the writing, the quality stories, like you guys are saying, some villains. Hopefully some fun speculation, some more wonky plays over a longer time horizon. Looking forward to that. And I'm actually really looking forward to him and Ruby's dynamic. I enjoyed the first episode off the bat with them, and I'm looking forward to their friendship or something in between, or them helping each other in whatever aspects in their lives. I think that dynamic between companions is something that I really miss from the earlier series. So I'm hoping that we get some classic goated moments with them.
Same here. I mean, I did like the dynamic between two of them, especially. I mean, I think the song helps a lot, getting them to really loosen up and like share that moment between the two of them. And Omni, how about you, man? Going forward with the show.
I'm just excited to see what they do with this new jumping on point, so to speak, and just kind of, while it's like a new place for people coming in, it felt so familiar to me, like from what I've been missing for a while, because like in look, tone, feel, sound, like everything about the Christmas special made me feel like I was watching Doctor Who 10 years ago, just with like a 4K like filter over it. That's the only difference. Like one of the things that really bothered me in Chibnall's run was they tried to make everything look too clean, look too cinematic. They even had high frame rate for some reason for bulk of the series, and I was like, gosh, this doesn't look, feel, or anything like Doctor Who. It's show me some of that grunge.
It's gotta be kind of bad. It's gotta be kind of bad.
It's gotta be a little hokey.
You don't have
And
to perfect
this was
it
like
visually.
this was like polished hokey, and I loved it. Like it just felt comfortable. It felt like home, but like Ncuti's energy, like his charisma, all of that is just like one of the things that I really like about the Doctor. Well, you're never 100% sure if you're going to survive. You're at least they sound like you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
But like I I'm just excited to see what they do with it. You know, there's while it is supposed to be this new jumping on point, there's still some threads from before they have not resolved at all. I would hope that we get something about that. Maybe doesn't have to be immediate, just eventually. But I'm just excited to see what they do with it, and I'm sure with the way the revival series was a jumping on point, a reset point for the franchise, and they still didn't shy away from bringing the Cybermen or the Daleks and all that stuff back in. You know, we might have a little reprieve. I mean, every special of Jodie's run was a Dalek special. Every one was Dalek themed. So like we might need to take a break, but I'm excited to see what they do with them. Like have some fun with it, do something new. We got a new universe with new rules, with superstition being brought into the world and changing the way things work. We got talking to rope. We got all kinds of fun stuff. Let's do it. Make Doctor Who weird.
And how about you, Liam? I know you obviously has a large investment in the show at this point. How do you feel now on the new horizon for the show?
You know what? I'm just really like, especially with how they've set a lot of things up and whatnot. You know, it's gotten the head gearing in terms of who this could be, who that could be, but also in terms of just general thoughts. Again, I am looking forward to seeing more of Ncuti and Millie's dynamic, because I really adored them so well in the Christmas special, and that's just the starters. So, you know, we've got to get to the main courses and all of that. We got to get into some emotional moments between the pair and whatnot. That's going to, you know, make us weep potentially. So, yeah, but I am also just, you know, really excited to see what, I guess, new stuff Russell can bring, really, because, you know, there is stuff that is talked about, I guess, when it comes to what will potentially be happening in series 14. You know, Jinx Monsoon appearing. I am so looking forward to that. I'm so convinced that episode 2 is going to be a full on musical episode, because we've had musical numbers obviously with the Christmas special, but what about a full blown musical episode? I wouldn't mind that, because there have been some shows that have had musical episodes which have just been superb, especially, you know, a certain Buffy episode,
Right.
But yeah, I'm just excited. I'm excited to see, because I don't know if they're going to do the, you know, the One Who Waits in this series. I think they might leave that for series 15, and, you know, maybe the focus will be on Mrs. Flood. I don't know, but yeah,
She was waiting outside her house, just sitting there.
I will wait. I'm the one who waits
What if-
for the
Yes.
answer.
Yes.
What if it
Was
is
waiting.
Susan? I've been
Yeah.
waiting
What if-
since the very beginning. Where am I?
Exactly. You said one day.
Yeah.
No, but I do already suspect that whereas they might toy around with maybe new memorable villains, because you'll get sick of the Master, you'll get sick of the Daleks after every few series they appear. They might toy around with some new villains, but they might bring some old ones that haven't appeared in the new series back.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Omega potentially. I want to see Omega back. The
From
Rani.
Bad Batch? No,
Omega?
sorry, that's really stupid.
Yes.
That's
The hall-
really, sorry.
the hallway?
That was literally that was for no one but me.
From the
That-
No, that was
cafeteria.
great.
It's the cafeteria, right? Yeah.
Right?
It's me
Omega.
deal.
I don't
It
know if it
happened.
would ever live up to the thing we have in our head about it, but like I've just been holding out for the Veil Yard for so long.
Me too.
Me
I
too.
want
too.
Evil Doctor.
I do
That's not
too.
the Master, but that
And it's Matt
whatever.
Smith.
Should be
Yeah.
Smith.
Hey,
Yeah,
Matt Smith
conceptually, that's what I
said-
thought. That's why I kind of thought what the lead up was with the bi-generation thing. I thought that was like, oh, they're finally bringing that in sort of like canonically, like the idea of like that split between.
It'll be funny if David
Doctor and
Tennant,
other.
like, instead of being rehabbing, actually gets like jealous or
Worse.
mad or something. Right. And eventually is that. I just thought. I don't know.
I do also want to point out that Rassilon is still out there. He
That's
was
true.
evacuated at series 9 after all the Time Lords said, you know what? Yeah, we don't stand with you anymore. So he could be brought back because Russell did bring him back the first time around. So he could do that again, especially if he's still technically out there. And Gallifrey could be in a bit of a better place. So
I mean, like we also got to unpack the Timeless Child stuff and all the stuff that the Time Lords
Exactly.
did to the
Mhm.
Doctor.
Ruby Sunday's the timeless child. I'm just kidding.
actually, it was me, the Doctor. So who knows? But I'm just looking forward to seeing what happens for the future, because it does feel like a very, very new and exciting era that we're about to unpack. So
Right.
that I'm sure is going to be brilliant.
Yeah, a lot of threads to play with, ropes to talk to, so to speak.
March or May? When does
May.
it drop?
May.
I think it's
Summer?
May. I think it's May.
gonna
yeah.
be May. Yeah, right.
Yes.
Looking forward to it.
At least
And
it's not another year. Usually it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, great,
Yes.
we'll see you in the late fall.
yeah,
In about 11 months.
Next Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Guys,
They don't
come
celebrate.
on.
yeah. I'm glad they said they shot already like the first like 2.5 seasons of his run. So
Yes.
I'm like, yes, good. Like let's have a consistent schedule, guys.
What?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they've shot. They're shooting series 15 at the minute. So by
Yeah.
the time they finish series 15, series 14 won't have or will have
Yeah.
just be a few weeks away from airing.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're
They're getting
far
ahead
in.
of it. Get no more
Mhm.
breaks.
But
That's what they
I think it's to also give Ncuti and Millie some options so they don't, feel like, well, I want to explore other options, so I can't continue anymore. So
That makes sense.
this is a good backlog, really.
Yeah.
And then they can come back, I don't know, next year and film series 16, maybe.
Yeah.
They used their time wisely. That's great. Yeah,
Yeah.
crank that stuff out.
I think as everyone knows here, it's good to have a backlog of things
Yes.
to roll out.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Also, the episode numbers are shorter too, right? So they can just bang them out.
8 episodes,
8
yeah.
episodes. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
There's only
Including
8.
Well, 8, and then there's obviously the Christmas special. So I guess 9 per year, really.
Oh, okay.
I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad
It's
No,
at
gonna be
that.
a
no.
special
That's
every year.
reasonable.
Yeah, because that gives them
Digestible.
enough to play with to do some like over arcs, mid seasons.
What
You know,
was our
Yeah.
last one? Like how long was the last series?
6.
So
and then
6.
next year, and then the year after, we had 3 specials.
Right.
So, yeah.
Oh yeah. I forgot
I mean,
about the Sea Devils.
New era.
Oh,
Oh, the super
went-
jumping and all that. Yeah. forgot about
Yeah,
that too.
yeah.
And my great co-host today, PLD, how do you feel about the future of the show with all this?
Couple of good things. You mentioned the musical episode. I want that. But since we have a musical episode, Mrs. Flood is being played by Anita Dobson, who others know as Dr. Brian May's wife. So it's a chance to get Dr. Brian May into Doctor Who for the musical episode. That's my call. But besides that, I want a face of new and old. Like Jess was saying, I love the weight of the old series. Let's make sure we don't forget it completely. But it's a nice mix of new and old. I'm looking forward to Doctor Who becoming appointment viewing again. During the Chibnall area, I kind of was like, oh, I'll get to it. Yeah, if I miss the episode, I'll get to it next week. Now I'm like, I'm sitting there. As soon as it comes out, let's do it. And one last thing nobody's mentioned so far that I'm really looking forward to in the new season is Jonathan Groff, who I really love.
I love Jonathan Groff.
So I'm excited to see what his role is. I kind of have this feeling he might be, I don't want to bring up anything too controversial, but I kind of have a feeling he's being the replacement Captain Jack potentially as a time agent who is involved with
I'm
Doctor
okay with
possibly. And you're right, exactly.
I mean, I love Captain Jack, but yeah.
You've never
Well,
what's
that's,
going on.
that's the
with that.
Hamilton King, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
the King from Hamilton.
Yeah.
I mean, Mr. Smith.
Oh,
Yes.
Kristoff.
Yes.
From Frozen.
The original cast of Spring Awakening.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he is
He's a heck of a
got to see
singer.
him on Broadway
Mhm.
a couple of times. He's a wonderful actor. I think he'll fit this role very, very well. So I really can't wait to see what he has to do. I'm hoping it's more than just 1 or 2 episodes, but we'll see. Otherwise, though, give me an idiot in a box and I'll be happy.
Of course. Yeah, I think that kind of wraps up everything that we had to say for today for now. Again, thankfully we don't have too long to wait until the new series comes and we can bask in the glory of Doctor Who once again. It was a great time chatting with everyone today. Obviously I've been a huge fan of the show for a long time. I started with Matt Smith, went back and watched Eccleston through Tennant for my own personal experience, but I got to rewatch the series several times over with all of you, just watching you guys' experience with it as well, and it's been very special to me. So thank you for everyone for joining us today. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like, subscribe. We're going to be doing this again next month. We'll be back for discussion on Avatar: The Last Airbender to join and celebrate for the new live action series coming out. So thank you so much, and we'll catch you on the next episode.